Toastmasters, dignitaries, and invited guests, I finally did it. I didn't want to do it. I had no desire to do it. But I was getting so much pressure from my family and friends, it really just got to be too much. "What do you mean?" they would say to me incredulously. "What do you mean you're not on Facebook?" Not on Facebook. "You've got to be on Facebook," they told me. "Everybody's on Facebook." By a show of hands, how many of you are on Facebook?
I have an account, but I never use it.
That's me.
I rest my case. So reluctantly, I signed up for Facebook. Big mistake. Big mistake on so many different levels. The first thing I did as a joke, as a lark, was to see if there were any other Paul Rudders on Facebook, because it's not a very common name. I didn't think there would be. I'm a very unique man. I'm one of a kind. How many Paul Rudders could there possibly be on Facebook? 47, actually. There are 47 Paul Rudders on Facebook. And then the pressure really started. How much personal information do you put out there? What picture do you use? Do you use a funny picture, a serious picture, or a cute little picture of me as a baby sitting on the toilet? How about one of me from college with a can of beer in one hand and a bottle of Jack Daniels in the other? Until I remember reading that prospective clients and employers check you out on Facebook. So I went with the very boring, smiling, professional form. And then miraculously, things started to happen. It was great. I started to get friend requests. People wanted to be my friend. How great is that? I was so excited until I realized I didn't know any of these people. I got a friend request from a different Paul Rudder. And I thought, sure, why not? Until I noticed that his picture looked like something right out of Alcatraz, so maybe not, maybe not. I got friend requests from people I went to high school with. I'll be very honest. I was never friends with them in high school, so why not? But then the guilt started to set. It was like there was a picture of my mother in the corner of the computer screen. Paul, be a nice guy, be their friend. So now I have 156 friends on Facebook, which I realize is not a lot compared to some standards. And it is amazing what I am learning about them every day. For instance, just yesterday, I learned that my friend Keith, for lunch, had a bologna sandwich. That's it. He thought it was important to tell us. And Natasha just woke up from a nap. Last week, Leanne was feeling blue. But then she had a bottle of wine and she was feeling much better. And there are mafia wars and online psychics and something called Farmville that I still haven't figured out. And do you notice it's the same 7 or 8 people that constantly update us all day long with information that we could care less about?
Yeah.
Well, you better get used to it, fellow Toastmasters, because it's not going away. Social media is here to stay. And as Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, even texting starts to evolve, which it will, I fear that we are losing the art of face-to-face conversation, especially among our younger generation, who are growing up with some of the strongest thumbs in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, there are excellent reasons to use social media, especially if you want to keep in touch with family and friends who are spread out across the world. And as far as business is concerned, there are wonderful networking opportunities and marketing strategies lead to positive and productive developments and associations. But a recent study by Stanford University concluded that the more time a person spends on the internet, the less time they spend with real human beings. And as we use the internet and texting to communicate, we lose the emotion of a real conversation. Humans need emotional interaction and reaction, such as body language, facial expressions, or tone of voice, in order to realize the full impact of a conversation. According to a recent article, people are hiding behind the internet, with some actually telling their spouse they want a divorce by posting it on LinkedIn, or by changing their marital status on Facebook from married to single. The more time we spend or waste behind our computers, iPods, and smartphones, the more time we are building invisible walls around us that simultaneously make us feel more connected, yet more isolated. We seem to be distracted by social technology that, in my humble opinion, we are losing one of the core foundations of communication, which is listening. You cannot talk and listen at the same time. And I feel certain aspects of social media take away that back and forth dialogue that is so important. How many of you have been at the office or at home and you're replying to an email and talking on the phone at the same time? And then when those two activities are finished, you can't remember what either one was about. We need to make sure, through organizations such as Toastmasters, that we continue to pass along the fine art of proper and effective communication. So when you go home tonight, call or visit a relative or a friend. Have a real conversation. But whatever you do, please don't send me a friend request, because I may just have to cook. Mr. Pastor, sir, please.